Good morning, class. My name is Specialist Vineyard, and today I'm going to conduct a training on how to determine the grid azimuth, using a protractor. The date is the 24th of November 2020. This class is unclassified, as is the PowerPoint I'm using. Feel free to distribute it as you'd like. And with that, we're going to get started. For today's class, my reference material is a Soldier's Manual of Common Tasks. This is a Warrior Skills Level 1 task. And within that Warrior Skills Level 1 notebook, we're going to be using all information from STP 21-1 SMCT, as well as 071-COM-0018. It's all in that notebook if you'd like to make a reference to it. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Today, your task as a class is to determine the grid azimuth using a protractor on a military map like the one that you see right here. Your conditions are as follows. You are a member of a squad or team that has received an order requiring movement. You have been directed to determine the grid azimuth from the starting point and ending point designated in that order. You have a 1 to 50,000 scale military map, a military protractor, pencil. In this case, we're going to use a pen and paper. The paper is right there if you need it. There are special conditions today. Generally, you would complete this task in Mop 4 year if possible. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are in a virtual learning setting. As such, we don't have access to mop gear, and most of you are virtually learning anyways. And so today we're going to be using a pen, a notebook, protractor, and a map without the mop gear. The standards to complete the task, two standard, are as follows. You have to identify the starting point on the map. You have to identify the ending point on the map. You have to draw a straight line on the map between these 2 points. Then you have to align the protractor on the map on that line, and then you're going to measure the angle of the line that you drew with the protractor. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. Today's risk assessment, the overall risk level is low. The environmental risk is low for the majority of the class because we are in a virtual learning environment. For Specialist Waller, who's taking the class in person, and myself, the risk for COVID-19 is medium. We're going to mitigate that by maintaining social distance of more than 6 feet from one another. And our security risk being on Fort Bragg in our barracks or homes is low as well. Today's equipment check before we start, we just need to make sure we have everything that we're going to use for the class. We have one military map right here that's going to be used to plot the azimuth, or excuse me, to calculate the azimuth. We have one military protractor right here, and then we have a pen right here. Scrap paper is available if need be, but we're probably not going to need it for today's lesson. And then we're going to go forward. To demonstrate, I am going to plot this start and end point on the map. You're probably not going to be able to see me do it here, and so I just have the cutout of what I drew here so the class can see it from a virtual setting. So my start point is going to be 31007200. So my first task is I need to find that on the map. So 3172. Let's make sure that's right. Yep. 3172 is right here. And then 00. So I just need to take my protractor and mark that point. My next task is to find the end point, which is 31007300. So we're just going to do the same thing. 3173, line it up, and mark. My third task is to draw a line between those 2 points. So I'm just going to line it up right here using the straight edge of the protractor, and I'm going to draw a line. We're going to go over this later, but make sure when you do draw your line to extend the line past the end point so you're able to adequately get the angle. The next thing we need to do after drawing the line is, well, I'll show you. I have it right here. Next thing we have to do is align the protractor on the map and then determine the value of the angle. So what we're going to do is line up the protractor on the map with the starting point being underneath the black cross on the protractor. I'm going to do that right here. Then I'm going to line that up on the grid lines on the map, make sure it's even, and the angle is 0 or 360 degrees, meaning that your squad is going to be moving due north. As you can see, I did all 5 performance measures, and that's what you're going to need to do to complete this to standard. Like I just said, there are 5 performance steps. Step 1 is to identify the starting point on the map. Step 2 is to identify the end point on the map. And remember, when you're measuring a direction of travel. So you can't measure from the end point to the start point. If you do that, you're going to be 180 degrees off your azimuth, and you're not going to do it correctly. So just make sure when you're measuring, you start with the starting point, and you measure to the end point. Your third performance step is to draw a straight line on the map connecting these 2 points. And like I said before, make sure that the line extends past the start point and end point so that you're able to get an accurate reading with your protractor. Because if you can't read the degree, you're not going to be accurate. For today, most protractors have a mil reading and a degree reading. The mils are the outside numbers on the protractor, the degrees are the inside numbers. Make sure that you use those numbers because we're measuring in degrees today, not in mils. Your next step is to align the protractor on the map. This is important because it's easy to get wrong. The baseline is always oriented parallel to the north-south grid line. And then your 0 to 360 degree mark on the protractor should be facing north at the top of the map. The 90 degree mark is to the right. The grid azimuth is in degrees today, as I said before. And then place the index of the protractor, which is if you look at the cross that's in the middle of a protractor, the index is the middle point where the 2 lines are bisect one another. You put that on your start point. The next thing to do is to determine the value of the angle from the scale. And remember, we're doing it in degrees today. The point where the line crosses over the protractor on the degrees, that's your angle. Don't overthink it. If you think you're off, for today's exercise, you're probably going to be right. At this point, I'm going to give you some opportunity to practice. I'm going to take the camera from Specialist Waller so he can practice finding an azimuth. As you can see, his start point and his end point are listed. He just needs to plot those on the map and then tell me what the azimuth is while taking on performance measures. So Specialist Waller, I'll hand it over to you.
Finding the start point, 32507250. Finding the end point, 3150. Drawing a straight line. Now I'm going to align my protractor. And find an azimuth of 270 degrees grid.
Specialist Waller, you did an excellent job and have performed the task to standard with all 5 performance measures. Good job. Now for the assessment. You have to do this right, or you're gonna have to retrain. But I need you to find the same, through the same standard that you just used. Go ahead and find this azimuth for me, following all performance measures, and then we'll check your work. So make sure you can actually mark it on the map so we can see it on the camera.
Gonna find the start point, 30007290. And find the endpoint 3100 7290. And I'm going to draw a line. Extending beyond the endpoint. Now I'm going to place my protractor line my protractor and read off the azimuth. I have a 90-degree azimuth grid.
Excellent job, Specialist Waller. As you can see, we saw him line up his protractor on the video, and I can see right here that he drew his line correctly and was able to properly determine the azimuth. Results. Roster number 50, Specialist Waller. He is considered trained on the subject, and at this point I'll pass along that information to my higher-ups. So Sergeant McLaughlin, Specialist Waller has been trained to standard on this task. And now we're ready for an after-action report. Specialist Waller, what do you feel like was sustained for the class?
I feel like the flow was good. It was very clear instructions and concise.
Great. Make sure to sustain that for future classes. And what do you feel like I can improve upon?
I feel like more practical exercises could be performed.
Excellent. Keep that in mind. Really quickly, we're just going to reassess the risk. The overall risk is low. The virtual setting mitigates a lot of the COVID-19 exposure concerns. Specialist Waller and I maintain social distancing throughout the class, and aside from that, the security risk is low as well because, again, we're all in a safe environment. Final inspection, I'm going to collect my equipment. My pen is here, protractor is here, my map is here. All equipment has been accounted for. Does anyone have any questions? Specialist Waller, do you have any questions for me? Excellent. Well, class, that concludes today's lesson on how to properly calculate an azimuth on a military map using your protractor. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me or call me after class. And again, if you want to learn more, just consult your Warrior Skills 1 handbook. That has all the information that I used on this lesson. Thank you very much.